G'day guys, welcome back to the Boundary Riders YouTube channel. Today we are back with another trade video. We'll be talking today about the completed trades, the trade requests that we've seen basically in the past week or so, and of course some trade rumours to cover. As always, with our co-host Jack over here. A lot of trades have been done actually pretty early in the trade period. It's pretty surprising for most of the trade periods in recent past. We've only really seen a couple of trades that usually go through, but we've had over a dozen I think now.
Yeah, and you've seen one team branch lock in a finals berth already to start next season, the way that Sydney are going, so packed up and ready to go, really.
Yeah, I think they've basically done all their trades. We'll talk about that as well today. But let's get into it pretty much straight away. And we'll start with the completed moves so far. We started right back 6 days ago from now, which was James Jordan, who became a Swan. Matt Flynn became a Giant after free agency, along with Joel Hamling went to the Swans as well. Tom Doedee has gone to the Brisbane Lions. We had a pick swap. This was the first trade a couple of days ago from Port Adelaide. They received pick 23 and a future second rounder from Fremantle, and Freo got a future first round from Port Adelaide. We saw another draft picks trade, which was pick 4 to the Bulldogs, along with 2 third round picks, which are currently 46 and 51, and a future third round pick, which are all tied to the Gold Coast Suns. And the Gold Coast picked up pick 10, 17, and a future first round pick tied to the Bulldogs. We also saw another free agent in Todd Goldstein reach his destination of the Bombers, along with Ben Mackay going to the Bombers as well. James Harms got his way and got to the Bulldogs as a free agent. Dylan Stevens moved to the Kangaroos, and they also picked up pick 25. Sydney got pick 44 and a future end of first round pick from North Melbourne, which is one of their assistants picks. We also saw a pick swap between the Demons and the Gold Coast Suns. 11, which was picked up by Melbourne. The Gold Coast picked up pick 14, 27, and 35 in that trade. The Crows picked up Chris Burgess and a first round pick, which is pick 14 from the Gold Coast. And the Suns picked up pick 23 and 26 from the Crows. Another pick swap, which was North Melbourne, picking up pick 18 from the Gold Coast, and they picked up the Suns a future first round pick, which is the second of the North Melbourne assistance picks. My God, how many more pick swaps has there been so far? Anyway, something a little bit more interesting. Brodie Grundy got to the Swans, and Melbourne picked up pick 46 in this year's draft and a future second rounder linked to the Swans. Taylor Adams got to the Swans as well, and Collingwood picked up a second round pick, which is pick 33. And then finally, sorry for all that, but anyway, Zach Fisher became a Kangaroo. They also got pick 17, and Carlton got pick 21 and pick 25. So far, I think Sydney are way out in front of us. Obviously, they've completed their trades that they've really had to do. I don't think they'll really do much else, maybe a couple of draft pick swaps, but I think Sydney definitely, it came to the trade period, they got everything done.
Sydney A+, maybe another defender, tall defender, but pretty much everything else is pretty much put into place.
I think that Sydney have done everything they can right now. Definitely picking up a mature midfielder, I think is a good idea.
Yeah, they needed that.
We'll just get into the official requests that have been made over the past week. So this isn't going to be including people like Zach Thatcher and that, because they were made a while ago. But since the last video, we've seen Mabior Chol obviously request a trade to Hawthorn. Nick Caulfield has requested a move to the Bulldogs. Tom Fullerton has requested a move to the Melbourne Demons. We have Paddy Dow. Looks like he's made a move. He's requested a trade to St Kilda. There has been some reports that he hasn't actually made that yet. I still think he has. Jade Gresham has decided to go to Essendon. Jack Billings has been told that he can look for a move, unsure as to who yet. There's been some talks about Collingwood. I think that's very minimal. We've also got Xavier Dersma, who has requested a move to the Bombers. And one that I think shocked everyone when we first saw it, including both of us, Lockie Schultz has requested a trade to Collingwood for family reasons. Now, some people have mentioned the fact that he's not worth a lot. I think, like you, he's probably top 5 small forward in the comp.
Yeah, I don't get what people... I get like Victorian supporters because they don't see Fremantle every week, and there's people that wouldn't watch every game of an AFL season like me and you do. Yeah. But Lockie Schultz in every game, if he scores 1, he normally scores 2 or 3 in a game, and he's always that pressure forward that Freo always needed, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you looked at a couple of statistics as well, he's kicked more goals in the past, I think, 3 seasons at Fremantle than anyone else on their list.
Yeah, so that means he's crap.
That means he's crap, not worth a pick inside the top 30. But I was saying to you when I saw this that he's worth at least inside the top 15 pick.
Yeah.
I think he is that good a player. I think he's very similar to a Brent Daniels, Toby Bedford type that we've seen how the Giants rose so quickly this season, with those two being the forefront. I think that Collingwood, if they can secure Lockie Schultz, I think that would be one of the picks of the trade period, in my opinion.
And you got to think also that Jamie Elliott's going up there. You've got like players like Bobby Hill, well, you got like Ginnivan and all that can't get into that team. Like you got Ginnivan who can't get into the team. And you got Bo McCreary, that's who I was talking about. So you got those two. Like, you got to think, if you bring in Schultz, Collingwood are in the box seat again for next season, really.
That's basically the big talking points of the requests. We do have some rumours to take a look at. One is Orazio Fantasia. He's been looked at by GWS. I think he just had a medical recently.
Yeah.
It looks like this could be their rookie pickup or... something to that extent for the Giants. I think this would be great for them to pick up Orazio Fantasia. Obviously, it was hard to get into the Port Adelaide team. Obviously, been riddled with injuries since he moved to Port. It won't have to pay much for him at this stage. I think this is a wonderful pick for the Giants if they can get him.
Yeah, I think if they can, Port won't fight for it. Wouldn't think he'd go for a fourth, late third, early fourth. I reckon pick if anything. They wouldn't. Port aren't going to try very hard. He's not. He wouldn't be in the best 22 for Port Adelaide anyway.
Trent Bianco has not been given a contract, it seems. So it does seem that he may be looking for an option. This probably won't be decided in the trade period, obviously, with no contract in front of him. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. I think he probably will get picked up by someone.
I think he's good enough for a lower grade team.
Next one is Elliot Himmelberg. Looks like his trade request, or not even a request, just potential move, has hit a bit of a snag considering maybe Chol has chosen Hawthorn. So the Crows look pretty certain to hold him to his contract that he's currently got, unless obviously the Giants come in with a big play. I tend to think that he's probably going to stay now.
Yeah.
They've also been talking about keeping Shane McAdam, which I don't know why they would, considering he said to them basically when they
was walking out
they got eliminated, they're like, bye, I'm gone, bro.
He was walking out the door after the exit meeting, so I don't think he'll be wanting to come back.
Yeah, I don't think they want him back, so...
This Elliot Himmelberg, it'll come down to the Harrison Petty.
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but it'll come down
Actually, you know what? We're going to get to that now. Why the hell would the Crows be offering $1 million to Harrison Petty? He's not even 6 games.
Like 6 games to forward.
So he's not $1 million forward. And look, he's a good defender, but he's not $1 million defender. I would give Harris Andrews $1 million. Probably give Harris Andrews. I'd probably give Tom McCartan because I'm a bit biased.
I think Wiedering as well.
You
look at it. He's I think they were saying Trade Radio when this news came out. He's probably only on about 450 at most.
Hey, if you're Harry Petty and you're watching this, because I know you're a big fan of the channel, obviously. If you've got $1 million in front of you, request a trade to the Crows right now.
Yeah.
Walk into Simon Goodwin's office with a Crow scarf on, hand in your paper saying, I want to go to the Crows because I want to be a bloody millionaire and get the fuck out of Melbourne.
He's not worth more than 600 and he's getting probably 450 at Melbourne. He's not worth more than 650.
I can't believe they're offering that much, but if they are, go Harry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go. Run. That's not sitting on the table for that. Maybe they just put a typo. It was 100,000 and they just accidentally added a zero. They're like, shit. Anyway, there has been a little bit of talk that Essendon have been inquiring about Ollie Wines. Now, have you heard about this?
Yeah, I did because they think Ollie Wines playing off wing and half-back, or they don't really have a spot for Wines at the moment for Port Adelaide.
Would you, if you're Port Adelaide, consider letting Ollie Wines go? Now that look, this was before the Xavier Dersman news, so
I still wouldn't consider it. I think Port Adelaide, you got to think if one of the midfielders goes down, it's your next best thing.
But considering he won a Brownlow 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Ollie Wines. He has really taken a whole nosedive in his career. I know it may be a harsh thing to say, but this guy won a Brownlow a couple of years ago, and now he's not even in Port Adelaide's best midfield. They're not even playing him in there. And we saw this year, he did not have that good a year at all.
He needs to try and find it quick if Port Adelaide are going to surge to the Premiership.
They need to be close to if Ken Higley's going to keep his job next year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have you heard the rumour about Tom Hawkins?
Yeah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I think that was Tom Morris as well. Good on you, Tom. Yeah, fuckwit. That's why. Look, if Geelong really, if they want to get rid of Tom Hawkins, which is like whatever, the only evidence they are showing that Tom Hawkins wants to go is, other than them, speculating, he's not having the best talks with Geelong at the moment, they're way off. The only evidence that is shown at the moment is he's unsigned for next season.
Yeah.
Whoa, a guy that's 34 years of age isn't signed yet. Well, because maybe he's going to pull a hamstring and end his career in round 1 next year. That's why I think he's unsigned. Whatever. Joke. Anyway. But Logan McDonald has been looked at by Fremantle quite a lot. Now, this isn't too surprising, especially as a Swans fan, because he's from Perth. His family all from Perth. Everything. He's lived there his whole life. Obviously moved to Sydney. There was a bit of talk about it when he got drafted that he wasn't too happy that he had to move to Sydney.
Yeah. Halfway across the country.
Yeah, but since then, he seems like he's definitely well settled in Sydney. He says that he's got a lot of mates there now and he's pretty happy. So Fremantle are keeping a close eye on Logan McDonald. Look, if I'm Fremantle, I am throwing a lot of money at him. They went for Aaron Norton, they didn't get him. Fremantle have got a lot of money, surely. I mean, where is it going? Nat Fyfe? Make him retire. I'm sorry, but you need a key forward. I think that this...
I think they've got to load up on picks for next season, future picks. They've got to get up on that, and then they can just throw like 2 or 3 first rounders at Logan McDonald next season. That's the only way Sydney will look at it.
And even then, I think Sydney will throw a lot at him because he's been, the apprentice to Buddy Franklin.
Yeah.
I don't want it to sound like bias, but I don't think he's going to go. I think that he will stay because I think that Sydney will offer him a lot. And they've basically been giving him the story since he's started there that you are the apprentice to Buddy Franklin.
Yeah.
I still think that Sydney are going to, and I think he's pretty settled in Sydney. That's just what I'm going to say. Do you think he would go?
I don't know if he'll go, but it's going to be a huge talking point throughout the season if he doesn't sign early.
So after that, though, we have Dan McKenzie. He has been linked to the Gold Coast Suns. I think he actually left the country recently on holidays. He still isn't uncontracted at the Saints, so I don't think they're going to offer him a contract. At this point, I think delisted free agency or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that... I mean, why would the Gold Coast waste a pick? There is talk here that a potential free agent / rookie option. So I think that the Suns have shown interest, so...
He can play... for the Suns to pick him up, I think it's a good move, but St Kilda don't want to challenge it. So, I think, like you said, he'll probably not get a contract and they'll pick him up after the trade period.
There's been a little bit of talk about Jack Ginnivan now that Lachie Schultz has requested a trade to Collingwood. There's been slight rumours about maybe Carlton and Richmond. I'm not going to really entertain those. There's been a lot of talks as well that there's no talk about Jack Ginnivan. So at this stage, I think he'll be at Collingwood next year. We've also got a little bit of rumours about Ollie Lord. Obviously, Port Adelaide forward who did really well in the qualifying final against Brisbane. Was one of their only few good players for Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Geelong actually want him with the Radicalier deal. Now... We've been talking about Radicalier. I can't believe the Cats scoffed at 24 for Radicalier. No. You didn't even put him in your team for the second half of the year. And now you're like, look, 24, that's not good enough.
Yeah, you just have to look back at their premiership year. They had no injuries through that whole season. He played 4 games. They didn't want to play him. This year they had a lot of injuries, so he was forced to play in most games.
And even then, he still wasn't in the best team for a few games.
Exactly, he was in and out. So you can't tell me 24. I think's overs. I think personally 24 is overs for Radicalier.
Port Adelaide have also basically sat there and said we will let him go to the preseason or the draft or later.
That's a little bit of a risk because obviously any team can pick him up. Geelong will cave because he doesn't have a contract. So
honestly, if I'm Port, I'm holding his hand because if Port Adelaide has still got that pick 24 on the last day of the trade period, Geelong surely take 24.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, but we were talking about this before we came on air. You got to think, Ollie Lord is taking over Dixon's role. He will be. This is my opinion. I think Port Adelaide's forward line, when Dixon retires, is going to be Lord, Marshall, and either Finlayson or Georgiades as your top forwards. That's how I think Port Adelaide's forward line will line up.
Yeah, surely Port can't let go Ollie Lord, especially after the finals, that final as well.
Yeah.
If you can perform in a final, even when your team is doing pretty poorly, I think that does show that your career is definitely going to have some bright spots ahead.
A lot of potential with that.
And the final bit of rumour talk was Tyler Brockman. Obviously, he requested a move to West Coast. This was actually at least 3 or 4 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
It does seem, though, that Hawthorn are holding hope that Fremantle we'll try and persuade Tyler Brockman to move there because they are still a little bit in the race for Liam Henry. They want to try and get Liam Henry to the club, so they'd like to do almost a straight swap Brockman for Henry. Obviously, Henry has requested a move to St Kilda, which really hasn't progressed too much. We haven't heard much about Liam Henry at all since
especially
last week or so. Either way this goes, I think that's great from Hawthorn. For them to, they haven't really done it yet. They haven't told him, we want to send you to Fremantle. But if Liam Henry does change his mind and say, I want to go to Hawthorn instead, if I'm Hawthorn, I'm saying, look, you want to go home, that's more than fine. We're happy to persuade a trade to get you to Perth. But you have to go to the club that gives us a better option. We've got to think for ourselves as well. We're losing a player here, a player who would be up there with our best team next year.
Yeah.
If you want to go back to Perth, which we're fine with, you have to go to the club that we want.
Clubs need to be a bit more aggressive in saying, you're going, yes, you want to go to Perth, but we get to decide what's best for us because we're the ones giving you away. So we want the best deal for us.
Yeah, well, they're the ones who have given all their time and giving all their time and energy to train this player up to be AFL ready.
Yeah.
And now you're wanting to leave. Which is fair enough. You have a right to leave the club. But you also, the club should hold you accountable that if you want to leave, you go to the club that we choose. North Melbourne wanting to offer pick 4th first round picks that isn't pick 2 or 3 for pick 1 from West Coast.
Yeah,
stupid. You're not doing that. If I'm West Coast, that's the points or whatever. You're going to get extra points. It's not going to extra points isn't going to help you when you're playing in round 1. But anyway, guys, that is basically all the news we have for you for this video for the trade period. What we're planning to do as well is when the trade period ends on Wednesday, this is coming out probably Friday morning, so in a couple of days. So basically Wednesday night, around 5:30-ish, we'll probably start a stream. We'll both be here. We'll be talking through the last couple of hours of the trade period, so you don't have to listen to Damien Barrett, I was going to say that 4-eyed fuck, but we're both wearing glasses. So don't worry about that. But yeah, we'll be doing a stream looking at the final trades, going through a quick little rundown of the trades done, a couple of things like that. And then next week we'll be doing a couple of videos, probably just going over, the grading of all the clubs. And I think what we'll do as well, we'll maybe even draw up a couple of things of the best 22 at this point. Thanks for watching, guys. We will catch you all on the podcast next week. We'll probably be doing it later now because now the AFL season's kind of over. We'll be kind of doing the podcast a little bit later so we can both do it. But yeah, make sure to let us know down below your trade target. If your team's picked up all the players, I'm pretty happy being a Swans fan that we've picked up all our players before the end of the trade period. Hopefully Dougal Howard still joins us. That's all from me. So we'll catch you all next time.
See you later, guys.